Yo guys, what is up? It's your boy TRUEDBZMaster back with another Android 16 guide video. And today, just like I promised a couple days ago, I am going to be doing the pressure mix-ups and Oki guide, or part 3 of the Android 16 guide series. So like I said on Monday, I was going to do it and I'm going to deliver. Hopefully I'll be able to get part 4 out tomorrow if everything works out as planned. And we'll have part 5 ready for you guys next week. So today's main goal is pressure, mix-ups, and Oki. And the way this is going to break down is first I'm going to be going over his block strings. Next I'm going to be going over anti-reflex. After that is staggers. After that we're going to be talking about cross-ups. And then we'll talk about his different mix-ups and Oki situations. So with that being said, guys, let's just go right into it. So the first thing we have on the list is his block strings. So his block strings are pretty simple, a little bit shorter than most characters in the roster, but it's pretty good. So the way you want to test out your block strings to make sure they're tight is you actually want to come down here into your training menu, and then once you have your enemy settings, you want to go all the way down here and set your opponent to reflect, which is going to be back and then X or whatever the Xbox equivalent is. So when I attack Cell, he's going to reflect at the first frame he can. So the block string I'm going to be showing you guys right here is going to be 2L, 5LL, 2M, 5M. And that is his longest, truest block string. So as you can see here, all that is one string. Now the reason why I ended on 5M is because it's actually safe on block, like I said in part 1. So if we have Cell now do a jab, so if we do the exact same block string, there you go. So as you can see, 16 is safe on block. It is -4, so even the fastest jabs won't be able to hit him. Now let's say, you know, if you want to do 5H, what happens then? As you can see, I'm still recovering, so Cell can attack me. So that's why I recommend ending with 5M, because it gives you a true way of block stringing while also keeping you safe on block. Now the next block string I'm going to show you is a little longer, but it does have one fatal flaw though, and it's going to be 2L, 5LL, 2M, 5M, 5H, and then 5SS, and this is what it looks like. So as you can see, the benefit of this block string is that the 5SS is able to push the opponent far away from 16. So even though it is -10 on block, the second key blast, even though it's -10 on block, most characters will not be able to reach him at this point, especially with their jabs. Mediums comes out slow enough to where 16 is able to recover afterwards. I think Vegito is like the only character that can do it, and maybe Krillin, but all the other mediums are probably not going to be able to start up fast enough to punish 16 at this range. So that's one really good thing about it. The fatal flaw I mentioned is that the 5SS can be super dashed. Now you might be wondering, how is this a fatal flaw if you can just cancel the 2H? Well, here's the thing. Most people will like to play RPS with you. Most of the time they will just sit here and just block it because, you know, it's very risky to super dash. But let's say if you're just doing your block string, and as soon as you do 5S, they immediately super dash. So let's have Cell super dash here. So let's say they super dash on the very first frame that they can, and you're not expecting it, you're gonna get punished right off the bat. So when doing this block string, you have to make sure that you're always prepared for super dash to be a factor. So if you're, let's say you're doing the block string, I recommend holding down back while shooting the Ki Blast, because you'll still be able to shoot them while also holding down back, and then you can 2H if they decide to do it. As you can see there. As you can see, actually let me show my inputs actually. This is going to be important. Okay, so as you can see, here's my inputs at the bottom of the screen here. So as I'm doing my block string, as soon as I press 5S, I'm holding down back. I'm doing this. That way, if they super dash at me, I can just press H and immediately punish. So that's a fatal flaw of this block string, but there is a way to remedy this. And then afterwards, we're gonna go into quarter circle forward S and quarter circle back S. So the reason why I have them here is the fact that these are not a true string. So I'm going to set cell to reflect again. As you can see, that has a 3-frame gap, and this has an 8-frame gap. So what that means is that since you can reflect and mash here, it's not a very great option, especially if you're fully committed to your block string. So say like you're going fully commit, and this is how you end your block string. Most of the time, when characters do their 5H, they're canceling into their special moves, in which case most players are going to be looking out for that. So to remedy this, you want to end, or at least at the very least, do it at mediums. If you do it with mediums, you still have your 5H as an option, right? So if they try to reflect you, you can punish. So the reason why I have them here is not only because they have gaps in them, is what they actually specifically lose to. So interestingly enough, 236S has a 3-frame gap, meaning there is no normal in the entire game that can punish this. So as you can see, Cell is trying to press jab, and then he gets counter hit because there's a 3-frame gap. But since 214S is an 8-frame gap, Cell's jab will be able to punish me. So when doing 16's block strings, you want to keep this in mind. Both options loses to reflect, but one loses to mashing and one doesn't. So you want to keep these in mind when using these two tools. Just keep in mind that 214S is plus on block, so you still want to use it as an offensive option, but just don't overuse it because it is very mashable, and most good players will try to fuzzy mash or fuzzy jump out of it, in which case, they can punish you with their normals or specials and yada yada. So use these sparingly, but also don't keep them in the back for too long, because these are really good moves, as I described in my second part of the guide series. So that is 16's block strings. So next, let's go on to anti-reflex. Okay, next we have Android 16 anti-reflex. So he has two. One is the universal one, which almost every character in the game has, and that is a 5L or 2L and then 5H. So as you can see here, see, 16's 5H is able to move him far enough to where Cell has to block again afterwards. This is really good versus mashing, especially since 16 has 1 frame of armor on. So let's say your opponent is Cell, right, and they try to reflect 2M, because Cell's 2M actually moves him forward a lot. 16 will be able to absorb it and then punish him for it. So 5H being an anti-reflect is really, really good because of that armor factor. The next anti-reflect is actually his command grabs. So since reflecting keeps your opponent in place, you can actually just use command grab, right? So you can use L, you can use medium, or you can use heavy. So all these command grab options are really good versus reflect, because obviously you can't block, you can't jump and reflect at the same time. You're stuck to the ground. So 16's 236 series is really good versus reflect as well. Okay, now we're going on to Android 16's Staggers. So he has a couple. The main one you're going to be using is a 2L, 5L, and then 2L, 5L again, or 5L, 2L, whichever in that order. So you're going to do something like this. So as you can see, 16 has to recover in order to get his jab out again. So because Android 16 has safe normals, this is actually a really good tool to keep your pressure in and add in, you know, your command grabs when, you know, they're just sitting there blocking. And the thing about his staggers is that he doesn't have to dash up at a certain range. So as you can see, I'm not moving at all. I'm not doing 6-6 at all. I'm just doing normals. So I can get 3 reps of staggers in before I'm out of range. So 16 is really, really good at keeping the pressure on, and he is very scary up close. So the next stagger we have is 2L5H. So this is a really good tool as well, because 2L5H is actually an auto-timed frame trap. So if I do 5L5H, it's a true string, right? But if I do 2L5H, there's actually I think it's a 2 frame gap there. And so if you try to mash on 16, he will actually counter hit you. So this is really good versus, you know, people that like to mash. But, you know, people that like to mash DP and, you know, invincibles, stuff like level 3s, you know, it's not a great option versus that. But, you know, it's really good versus mashing. So you want to keep that in mind as well. Alright, and the last stagger we have today is his mediums stagger. So this one is really good versus people who like to jump out of command grabs. So what this is you want to do 2L, 5L, and then you want to delay 2M, 5M. So it's going to look something like this. So as you can see, it's counter hitting Cell because he is mashing. So what this is good for is, once again, if your opponent likes to jump. So say like I'm command grabbing them over and over again, and now they're conditioned to jump, right? So as you see, Cell's gonna jump here. So let's say I'm just like staggering him, right? And he just keeps jumping, right? He jumps out of my command grab, you know, I can't grab him. So what you want to do, as you can see here, he tries to jump, and since he's not blocking low, he's gonna get caught. As you can see there. Now you want to be careful with your timing as well, because the opponent does have their starting frames to jumping, and that's why he's getting counter hit there. But if you wait too long, he can actually block in the air. So the timing is very precise, but this is really good because then you get your combos and very high damaging ones as well. So, you know, you can really nuke somebody for trying to jump, right? And there you go. And yada yada yada. So that is a really, really good important stagger. You can also do this with 5M, but it's a little bit less consistent because it's not a low attack, and so it's not as scary. But as you can see, you can hit Cell from jumping there. But I like doing 2M because first it's a low, and then also it allows you to combo, you know, a lot more consistently, as you can see there. going on to Crossups, we have IDJL, so it's this guy right here, and then we have IDJM. So both of these normals are really good for Crossups, but there are some pros and cons to it. So JL is this guy right here. So the reason why you want to use this one is because it's fast. It's 8 frames on startup, so it is a lot faster than his JM, which is 11. So if you IID right away, right in your opponent's face, if I can get it. There you go. So if you can get it, it's 8 frames, so it's like unreactable. So it's a really good option, but as you can see there, the main flaw with using JL is the range. You know, it's very, very picky about how it wants to work, right? You have to be at like the right range. You want to be like around this range, you know, around here. If you're like point blank, like most of the time it's gonna whiff. So you kind of want to like be in this range right about here, and it'll work. But on the other hand, you have JM. So this move is slower than the other one, but it works point blank no matter what, as you can see there. And it's also really easy to combo off of because mediums have a lot more hit stun when you hit people, so you can actually just combo right afterwards. As you can see there. So it being a medium attack gives you more hit stun, and it also just has more range. But you're also relying on a much slower normal, but I think the consistency of JM is just a little bit pushes it over the edge over JL. JL is good for like mix-ups, which we'll get into later, but for cross-ups specifically, I think JM is the way to go. Now we're going on to the thing that you're really here to see, the mix-ups, the mix. So 16 has a couple of mix-ups. The first one is his bread and butter. It's this guy right here, his 236L. This guy is just a mix-up. Now, the reason why it's a mix-up is for several factors. One, it's a command grab, so you cannot block this. And then number 2, it is unreactable. It's 17 frames on startup. So every time you're blocking 16, you're guessing, right? If he does 5L, you're guessing between this guy or 2M to catch you mashing or trying to jump. So the whole mix-up here is you're, like I said, you're either going to do 2M for a stagger or you fully commit to a command grab. That is the mix-up. Very, very basic, but also very, very effective. Now we're going on to Android 16's more unique mix-up. So, like I said in my specials guide, 16 recovers in the air when doing his 2-1-4 series. All of them allows him to float and backdash, forward dash, double jump, as you can see there. So what this means is that with an assist, 16 is able to do cross-up left-right mix-ups. So for this example, we're going to be using a 214L, which is this guy right here. This guy is most useful with assists that have very little pushback. So assists like Bardock B and GTB are really good examples of assists with very little pushback, and so it allows 16 to float left-right. So if we're going to show you an example here. So as you can see for those examples, 16 can float left-right with assists with very little pushback. The more block stun, the better. That's why I chose Bardock and GT, because both of their assists apply a lot of block stun, like 40 plus. So it gives you plenty of time to float and do mix-ups and stuff like that. Next is his 214 medium, so it's this guy right here. Alright, so now we're going to be talking about Android 16 214M, so it's this guy right here. So this one, in contrast to 214L, this guy actually wants assist with a lot of pushback. It allows a 16 to get closer to the opponent, because as you can see, 16 jumps quite a bit forward. So having assists like Yamcha and Goku Black that gives you a lot of pushback is going to be very crucial to getting this mix up. So as you can see from those examples, the good amount of pushback that Yamcha and Goku Black provides allows 16 to float same side or do forward dash cross up. I think the 214L mix-up is a little bit stronger, because it's a little bit more ambiguous to where 16 is going to be floating. With this mix-up, you can clearly tell that like when he air dashes, you can clearly see him moving, and so it makes it a little bit easier to see. So I think his 214L mix-up is stronger, but this is still a really good option with teams with a lot of pushback, like I said. Alright, now we're into the last section of the video, which is his Oki. So there are a couple of main ways of 16 ending combos. The first one is him ending combos with J2H. The next one is ending combos with 236L. The next one is ending combos with, well, pretty much any of his command grabs in the air. So ending a combo like this is another one. The next one is ending a combo with this super attack. And then the last one is Oki from level 3s. So the thing about 16 is that he doesn't really have Oki tools, he just has really good normals, right? So all of these are pretty much the universal overhead, which is, for him, is going to be IDJM. So if you end your combos with this, IDJM, if you end your combos like this, IDJM, you know, pretty much universal for everything. If you end with level 3, IDJM, and of course if you end with super attack, specifically in the corner, if you do 236 heavy and keep heavy S, you get that version of Heat Wave, and then if you when you recover, you get your frame advantage and you can ID for a safe jump. Now, where this gets difficult is when you end combos with this aerial grab. So I'm actually gonna have him not block here. So when you end with this, there's a little bit of an RPS guessing game when it comes to this, because since the opponent recovers in the air, they can forward tech, they can down tech, they can up tech, they can back tech, they can delay tech. Like there's a lot of different options. So going over every single one is, I'm gonna say it's very hard for 16 to cover all options. Like, I don't think there's a single character that can cover every single option, except for maybe 21, but she's kind of like an exception, not the rule type of thing. Most of the time, people, when ending with this command grab, they're just gonna back tech or down tech. Most people do not forward tech out of 16, which is very how we say poor decisions, because if you end your combo with this, you can actually loop this into another anti-air grab, as you can see there. So actually forward teching out of 16's pressure when ending with this command grab is actually really good versus his character, because 16 wants to grab you, and so not giving him the opportunity to grab you is very, very crucial. Now 16 can, well, I should say the opponent can chase you if you try to forward tech, so we're going to have him go forward. As you can see, he can actually chase after you if you try to forward tech. So like I said, that's where the RPS guessing game really comes into effect here. Let me get Cell back in here. So when it comes to Oki with his particle forward command grabs in the air, it's, like I said, it's really RPS-y. I don't really like ending combos with that grab. If I have the meter, I will always, you know, end with super, because I can get a SKD and I get a safe jump afterwards. Ending with his aerial command grab is just setting up a guessing game in which you're probably gonna guess wrong, and even if you're right, most of the time it's not the greatest punish, but I mean, if you're right, you're still right. But you know, it's not like 16 will just freaking nuke you. And even if he's right, so say like you back tech, right? Oops, that's down tech. Also, if you down tech, 16 can just chase you with 5L. As you can see there. So if they down tech, you can just meaty with 5L. Very simple. But actually, I want to go back to back tech. So like even if you try to chase back tech with command grab, your reward isn't really that great unless you have an assist to cover that, right? So end the combo. So you can see my reward for being right is a little bit better, but it's not like, you know, you're losing 50%. So 16 Oki can be very problematic when it comes to ending combos with his command grabs in the air. So I just wanted, so I'll just say this: keep an open mind when it comes to his Oki at this particular stage. If you have the resources, just do super, because most often than not, your opponent will back tech on the ground and you just meaty IDJM. That's the go-to. I really don't recommend ending combos with this. Sometimes, you know, you don't have a choice, right? If you already used your other command grabs and you don't have smash for this guy, right? If you have literally no choice, you know, then, you know, by all means do it. But if you have to end it with that, just end with super, because you can instantly get Oki immediately afterwards, and it's really strong. So everything else, like I said, 2, 3, 6L, level 3, J2H, all the Oki is the same. IDJM, if they up tech, you can chase it with JM and then get a combo. Down tech, meaty with 5L, you know, the gist. So yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video. So once again, I just want to thank all of you guys for watching this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed your time here, and I really hope you guys stick around for more Android 16 parts in the future. We're about halfway through. We only have 2 more videos left, which is the combo video and then the team build, or I should say assist and team build video. And then if I remember, or you know, in the future, if I ever get the time, I might do a Android 16 Synergy tier list like I did with Krillin, but you know, I still haven't done mine with Blue Vegeta yet, so it's gonna be a while. But you know, just something to look forward to. So once again, I'm gonna end the video off, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Sayonara.